In today's video, we will be talking about why the majority of play-to-earn games fail, and we'll break down why and what has to change so that they can last longer. So if you don't want to miss out, you better watch the video from start to finish. As always, we do want to give a disclaimer and mention that this is not financial advice. We're not financial advisors, so make sure you're always doing your own research and making your own decisions. Let's begin. The first problem is that play-to-earn games aren't fun without the earning part. Consider a few top-tier titles that have been played for a long time, such as World of Warcraft, League of Legends, RuneScape, Minecraft, Call of Duty, Skyrim, Candy Crush, Pokemon, Clash of Clans, and Subway Surfer. These games have endured for so long because they are really enjoyable to play. Avigochi, DeFi Kingdoms, and Axie Infinity are a few examples of GameFi games to consider. Once the earning aspect is removed, many games lack the usefulness and a certain psychological edge that would make them enjoyable. Even more so, consider this. Would you spend an infinite amount of money to play their game? What about DeFi Kingdoms? Would you pay them for that game? The answer is no. And the reason for this is that these games are not enjoyable and don't provide an experience. How do we know the classic games I mentioned previously are enjoyable? This is a key distinction between a lot of play-to-earn games and sustainable conventional games because people give those firms millions of dollars each year to keep playing them, and they anticipate. Even more so, they don't even expect a monetary return. There are a lot of play-to-earn games that are currently not enjoyable. Many play-to-earn games are really simple business concepts that marketers have attempted to add a gaming element in order to attract users, like consumers. Until this is changed, GameFi adoption won't be very high. We won't have viable GameFi games unless we have entertaining games that we later include. The second problem is that people aren't always motivated when the rewards they get change. I'm going to tell you a tale in order to understand the psychological nature of this next issue. Although it's not a true tale, you'll see how it relates to crypto games. Early in the morning, the school picks up a group of children from a bus stop. While on the same corner, an elderly man is sitting outside his home drinking his morning tea. Anyway, one morning, while these children waited for the bus, they began making fun of the elderly man who was simply sitting there. He overheard them and became angry. After hearing these jokes for a whole week, the elderly man ultimately becomes wary of them and devises a brilliant scheme. He waits until the next day of classes before telling these youngsters, "Hey, come on over. For every joke you make about me, I'm going to give $5 to each of you." These children were now thrilled. Even though they were insulting the young guy for free, they would now get rewarded for it. How naive could he possibly be? The elderly guy rewards everyone with $5 the next day when they come up with a good joke. After a few days, the elderly guy announces that since the price is rising, he will now only pay you $3 for each joke. Despite their apparent displeasure, the youngsters agreed and carried on making fun of the elderly guy. After a few more days pass, the elderly guy reduces the joke reward once more to $1, then $2, and finally to $1. The elderly guy finally accepts the kids' prank and informs them that he can only give them 1 cent. The children shout at the elderly man because they are so angry. "We are not going to do this. We used to charge $5 for this." And even though they used to do it for free, the youngsters stopped making jokes about the elderly guy after that day. Do you understand how this tale relates to crypto games? Free games may be entertaining. Then, when we provide them with a cash reward, we have a supplementary motivation. Now, think if you received $200 every month to play a game, then $100, and so on until you only received $1 per month to play the game. As a result of comparing your current income to when you made $200 per month, it won't appear as enjoyable. In reality, many YouTubers often succumb to this. Many producers put a lot of work into making a lot of videos, but when they eventually get their big break, go viral, and start making a lot of money, they become burnt out and stop making new material since it doesn't get the same number of views or advertising income due to outside factors. After creating incentive systems, including money, game creators should exercise extreme caution. Psychologists call this idea that external rewards can make people less motivated even when the external reward is taken away. Third, many games don't really need blockchain technology. Now, let's move on to the third issue. Finally, because they don't need to be on the blockchain, most play-to-earn games, or to be more precise, games based on cryptocurrency, most often become extinct. The fact is that they don't necessarily need to be on the blockchain, even if consumers or developers often want them to be. I'm going to start with an analogy in order to summarize this issue. You should be aware that a few extremely particular issues are solved by blockchain technology. However, just because blockchain is effective at solving certain issues doesn't imply it is effective at solving other issues. Consider a wheel. A wheel on a vehicle works well because it enables the van to move considerably more quickly and with less resistance than it could if it had triangular wheels or no wheels at all. Furthermore, wheels work well on motorbikes because they resemble vans in many ways, and they work well on lawnmowers for a similar reason. To continue with our example, the wheels on submarines are not very useful. Although they are a kind of vehicle, because they are primarily submerged, they don't actually require wheels to work efficiently. Also, putting wheels on a smartphone or laptop wouldn't solve the problem. You could argue that it would make things worse. Wheels are excellent at addressing certain difficulties, but that does not imply they are excellent at solving other problems, or that we should always use them. It holds true for blockchain technology as well. Without continuing on and on, certain blockchains provide extremely particular answers to a limited number of issues. The top games already function flawlessly without blockchain technology. The participants of such games aren't exactly pleading for the adoption of blockchain technology. As a result, blockchain games might be compared to putting wheels on a smartphone. They could simply not be required. I will mention here that there are likely two areas where blockchain technology might be used to address two distinct issues in the gaming industry. They may work effectively if players are given the option to purchase their own skins or other in-game items. However, a lot of game development corporations profit by repeatedly selling the same goods to gamers. Simply create a new skin and resell it if you need more money. Some people say that letting players sell their in-game goods and setting up a secondary market makes the number of people who use the game go down. Why, for instance, would I pay $20 for an in-game cape from a game creator when I could instead pay $8 for a used one from another player? In-game marketplaces seem to be the second area where they may be beneficial. But even here, this is only one aspect of a game that doesn't indicate that the whole game should be run on blockchain technology. In both of these situations, blockchain technology might be included, but not built on top of. Hey, if you're liking this video so far, remember to subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to enable the notifications so you'll be alerted whenever we post a new video. The last and biggest problem is that they don't have a way to pay their players that can last. The concept behind play-to-earn games is rather straightforward. You play the game and you get paid. That being said, where does the money come from to keep the players engaged? It seems that you would have to continue paying them. There are a ton of ways you can now reward these devoted gamers, but let's go through a few alternative suggestions. The first and best alternative is to have advertisements. The greatest alternative in our opinion is a form of advertising like what Apple does in huge football stadiums. It's possible that Razer or Logitech may pay a game to place advertisements in its PvP arenas. This is outside funding entering a game. It's not coming from less experienced players, and it's not coming from investors hoping to make speculative gains. It's a real business plan in reality. The play-to-earn game may have a few in-game adverts that generate monthly cash. A portion of this cash might go to skilled players as a reward for their participation, and the remaining sum might go to the game's developers so they can keep making improvements to it. The creation team is motivated to create a game with a large user base. If they're excellent, and most importantly, if they don't steal from the unskilled players, the gamers have a sustainable means to really make money as they play. The marketers get a new paid advertising channel that might be very useful for their objectives. Getting new players is our second alternative. This paradigm in which a new user must purchase an item in order to participate is used by several play-to-earn games. For instance, in order to play Axie Infinity, you must purchase an Axie, a gaming character. When a player purchases an Axie, they're putting money into the game that might later be taken out by another player via a series of transactions. There's no instance when every player has earned money. Hence, this is not sustainable. If a player wins money, it comes from money that another player put into the game or invested. This is how almost all play-to-earn games operate. This is just not a smart concept, since games like Avigochi, the Step-in Shoe NFT game, and Zed-Run the horse racing game all function by collecting money from new players and giving it to older, devoted players. The membership model is the third alternative. Through a membership model, where all participants pay a predetermined amount to take part and play the game, these games may also make money. Because all participants will pay the same amount, this model is far superior to the prior one. In the last example, if you have $1,000 to play the game, you have an immediate advantage over someone who has only $100. This gives wealthy players an unfair advantage. In a membership model, all players would pay the same seasonal membership fee, and the skilled players would earn the money that the less skilled players contributed. This seems like a much more equitable approach to me, but it also throws away a lot of money, which is presumably why many protocols don't even take it into account. Additionally, it's much simpler to promote the fact that when you spend $100 to get an Axie, you get to retain it as an item you own, as opposed to paying $30 every season to play a game that expires at the end of the season. The pay-to-win model is the last alternative. Now, this one is fairly apparent, and we see it in certain games like Minecraft, where you may pay a few $100s to hasten the acquisition of labor-intensive equipment and other items, since it's thought that doing so gives wealthy players an unfair edge. Some other games do the same thing to generate income, but instead of offering helpful stuff like goods or tools, they provide other pointless products like a different skin, the choice to change your moniker, or just the capacity to flex by altering how you seem. If you pay players with money you get from new players, the game will eventually die. In order for a game to truly be sustainable and to thrive in 10 years, the money that the players are receiving must also be sustainable. It's highly reminiscent of a Ponzi scheme, and it won't last for 10 years since the participants will soon be split into winners and losers, and you will ultimately run out of new participants. That's our video for today. We hope you like it. So what do you think about why the majority of play-to-earn games fail? And for those who have experience with play-to-earn games that failed, what are your thoughts about them? Share all of your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Well, that's all for now. This is Investment Tribe. See you again tomorrow. Keep in mind to like, share, and subscribe.